Alright, I'm pumped and I'm ready, and hopefully we should take on the final challenge in the game, which appears to be the True Arena. Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tiana here once again, and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Kirby's Adventure Wii / Kirby's Return to Dreamland for the Nintendo Wii. So, last time we have managed to pretty much dominate it in terms of the forms of the arena by simply able to utilize the Spark ability, because that's the only ability you should definitely recommend. So, yeah, you can probably able to expect this much. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we'll present to you the grand finale of this game's Let's Play. And because of that, as I said before, the last thing we want to able to tackle through is of course the True Arena. To get the True Arena, it's kind of like the same thing for the Arena unlockable requirement, except the fact that you have to take on the extra mode this whole entire time. Meaning about the fact that, well, as soon as we dive right in quickly, if I grab my Wii remote for just a brief moment's notice. So yeah, if we manage to get this started right here, the True Arena, it plays out very similar to the likes of how it does it in the Arena. Except the noticeable differences this time is the fact that most of these boss fights are gonna get a little bit tougher. For me, we'll grab the Tornado right here, because I definitely noticed that the Tornado ability will help out for the entire game, specifically in the extra boss fights departments, because yes, I say extra boss fights, I mean the EX versions of some of the exact same bosses we already come across into from before. So for instance, we start things off with of course the mini fights, as you saw. So yeah, with the Tornado right here, it really does help out, especially noticeable how the fact that it actually starts to protect you from invincibility frames and stuff like that. But the biggest recommendation out of all of them though, is the fact that once you start shaking the Wii remote, it actually creates a massive tornado wave, which I think it will certainly helps out, because as you see on this little some bosses right here, it actually took down a little bit of health down super fast, which as a result, that's the only strategy you should definitely recommend. It's kind of a shame about the fact that Tornado, specifically for this game, this is actually the last time we're going to be seeing the Tornado copy ability until, you know, in Kirby Battle Royale, they did manage to technically bring that back, but in the forms of in a party game rather than just a action RPG kind of thing and stuff like that. But it's kind of a shame that that particular copy ability will not make a return during the forms of being Kirby Triple Deluxe, and especially notable for Planet Robobots, and heck, even with the forms of recently Star Allies, which I have no idea why the Tornado ability does not make a comeback at all. But either way though, that's all I could really must be curious about the actual research of why the copy ability does not make a comeback after this game is released. So yeah, you get the idea. So of course, as you can see, we're once again going to take down the Sphere Doomers, as you can see right there. Now, if you ever played the extra mode version of that specific, you know, some fights like this, as you can see, they only have one eye as opposed to two eyes, unlike the main normal campaign. Which, I've no idea why they actually did some of the changes like that, but either way though, I'm just a little bit too curious just to see of how some changes usually adds it up, so yeah, with certain attacks like these, it will defend you if you manage to able to almost trying to get into the actual cautious attacks, which even then though, again, it really does help out, especially noticeable for the majority of the forms of the True Arena, that most people seem to find this a little bit challenging compared to the Arena, but it's just that one particular copy ability, it just makes things a heck of a lot more easier in comparison to any other abilities. Because if you manage to utilize Spark, although I've heard some people seem to able to try that, and it does manage to help out, but it's just the fact of the matter is though, is the fact that the ultimate challenge for the arena and all that stuff is the fact that, well, obviously you need to able to protect yourself without taking too much hit points. So it's very standard stuff though, really. So either way though, that as you can tell, that most of these boss fights, like specifically Metal General right here, originally he was blue to begin with, but in the EX version, meaning on the extra version of that specific boss fight, that he's actually in colored red this time around, which that could be also the same applies to any other bosses as well, which even then though, it kind of feels like it's incredibly similar to the ones in, well, the future games and beyond, excluding Kirby Superstar Ultra. So even then though, yeah, if you ever played you know, Kirby Superstar Ultra before, in terms of the True Arena mode, basically it's like the same thing, except the fact that, well, we might still come across into the exact same identical boss fights as in from the forms of how it does it from last time, except now that we actually might able to come across into, well, extra boss battles here and there, which, then again, we'll point that out whenever we get onto that continuation of that specific front. And as you can see, between the forms of the first 3 rounds, I actually take no damage, which I think it actually certainly helps it out. But I won't apply to the forms of Grand Duma this time around because, well, usually unlike Sphere Dumas, I found the actual boss fights, such as these with the Tornado, is such a piece of cake. But as far as Grand Duma is concerned, that, as you remember from the likes of how it does it in the arena mode, that I did seem to somehow take a lot of damage most of the time. This is probably because of a few things, probably because of couldn't memorize the actual enemy pattern or the boss patterns and stuff like that sometimes. But luckily with the Tornado though, assuming if you try to dodge him in a good spot, then you should able to actually defend yourself with ease. Like, you know, just keep on doing that. And then again, if you really want to get your biggest amount of damage on most of the boss fights, then, you know, just shake the Wii remote until you're able to create a super hurricane spin or something like that. So yeah, it really does help. Especially noticeable, it can wreck so many health points during the actual enemy fights, as you can see right there. Like, for instance, the Giga Knight Edge EX. Holy man, his health is like all the way down to 0. Then again, I'm probably not gonna risk this too much because, as I said this before, this mode can get pretty tough for those of you first time playing this particular mode like this. But luckily in this game, that unlike in Triple Deluxe or Planet Robobot, this game does have, well, multiplayer co-op, so that way you can able to actually do a lot of teamwork. So yeah, you should definitely recommend you're able to do that, even if you really want to get yourselves a good extra time on there. So, but either way though, that's all I can really doubt it for anyway. So yeah, that's all I can say, things considering. So, once again, much like the arena though, the actual boss fights layout is sort of random until when it gets to the point until literally towards the end that we are able to come across into, well, we might still able to come across into lore and mega lore fights, but except the fact that it might be in a different color. And also, as you can tell, the biggest difference is between the normal playthrough compared to the extra counterpart is that most of the boss fights actually has a different pattern this time around, meaning that take Fatty Puffer for example, that normally if you manage to just go straight forward towards the wall, then you get smacked onto the wall so easily. But in the forms of the EX version, now he can able to actually roll onto the ceiling. But thankfully, with the Tornado in mind, this means it makes this boss fight a lot easier if you want to defend yourself. And believe me, the extra mode, proper extra mode, when you're trying to deal with the boss fights like these in the, well, if you manage to deal with them with your half unit of health, I seriously swear to God, it took me a lot of tries to deal with all that. Well, at least in terms of, let's just say Fatty Puffer is the hardest example of it, and also same applies to the other exclusive thing about the extra mode, which we'll discuss on that later, because for now we need to deal with Landora, and this time they're in purple or blue color, which seems a little bit odd in color, but then again with the Tornado ability, assuming if you're trying to able to be cautious with you know, not to get hit too many times, then you would able to actually be okay with that stuff. So yeah, a few things we want to explain about this is the fact that today's day is of course the I would say is the 21st of May today, in this case in well, 2020. So in this case, that tomorrow that me and Daffy Duck were able to go back onto Donkey Kong Jungle Beat after when I'm done with this game until likely for today. So yeah, you get the idea. I think Gorilov, it was actually one of the hardest boss fights, I feel like, in terms of using a Tornado to begin with. And also, as you can tell by the forms of the healing station, you get like lesser amount of those maximum tomatoes, and also same applies to although you're still able to actually get yourselves a normal regular tomato after when you obtain the maximum tomato to begin with, which I'm probably not going to use one of them up until when we get onto the forms of the next fight, which appears to be based off from World 2, which is by the forms of Mr. Duda, which I think that's what the actual fight was, the boss's name. So, yeah, you get the idea for that solution for that point. So, yeah, whenever he starts to do that, I seriously swear to have to admit though right away, I have no idea how you're supposed to avoid that. Well, at least most people seem to find that particular phase no problem whatsoever for most expert players, but I have no idea how I'm supposed to avoid that. But anyway, I think what the thing really encourages you to do is just to go all the way up, so... But regardless of such though, he's almost down. Oh Jesus Louise, I'm almost gonna get myself screwed over right there. But hey, at least with the power of the Tornado ability, it really does help out for the majority of the every single fights. So, even for the majority of, you know, basically for the entire true arena. Because I have to admit though, I wouldn't imagine of how the fact that if all 4 players, well at least assuming if they're able to do some co-op action, they'll easily manage to take down most of the bosses with ease. So that'll be kind of interesting to say the least. So anyways, here's Wispy Woods, and now he's actually got himself some purple leaves as opposed to green. So even then, there's not much anything else different about it, apart from the fact that, well, he now starts to able to spawn in. Well, obviously he's able to utilize this attack right here, but now he starts to be dropping apples in the process too. So, yeah, definitely a little bit trickier than from before, but honestly, with the Tornado ability, it really does manage to deal with a lot of damage. Which, even then, though, as you can tell, that we actually spent about 8 minutes so far for the sake of the actual, the true arena itself. So, that seems cool all in all. But anyway, let's just go ahead and deal with the next boss, which is Mr. Duda. So, either way, though, we could able to just, well, kick his butt. And obviously, yeah, I did manage to utilize one of those maximum tomato, and as I said before, that it will get replaced by the normal tomato once you've able to eat one of them. So, yeah, you get the idea for this point. So anyway, let's just go ahead and just quickly dodge his attacks when he decides to able to do that attack, and hopefully we should be able to just wreck his more health and then, well, just do the same thing, basically. Although the only time, as you can see right there, I keep on getting hit by him most of the time is that I keep on going near to him. The biggest strategy when it comes to using Tornado for the sake of the forms of, you know, the true arena itself, you really not recommend that you able to, when you finish done with the actual move, you really not recommend you able to actually go on top of them. So because of that, you will get hit a lot if you don't do it right. So yeah, in between round 11 all the way to the end, they might able to actually just still force you to able to deal with, well, as you can see, that we're now dealing with the Lore EX and Mega Lore, which meaning about the fact that the Lore Star Cutter was actually now in red color as opposed to dark blue. So yeah, it's a little bit interesting changes from here and there. But after we're done with this, however, though, we might able to come across into one boss that is exclusive to extra mode, and another boss fight that is going to be exclusive to this mode in the true arena, which then again, we'll talk more about it until whenever we get on to the very end of that. So yeah, we just have to keep on, like, shooting projectiles at, you know, the Lore EX. Which I honestly found this boss fight to be a little bit easier, but most of the time I just keep on getting myself recklessness due to that little, suck-up vacuum kind of ability. Because most of the time I wasn't paying attention, but regardless of everything else though, at least assuming if you know what you're doing, then you will be fine. So, yeah, that's all I can really say about this here. So, yeah, because kind of thing about it is the fact that we might as well able to actually get some of those Let's Plays finished until at some point during on May. Well, to be more specifically 2 of them, and as far as the rest goes, like specifically Kingdom Hearts Final Mix, that Sonic will promise that he'll be gone back into that at some point in September, just because, well, he just needs to get some spare time in summer, and especially noticeable with other Let's Plays to tackle through, specifically, you know, recently Mario Party 10, and also same applies to any other stuff as well. So either way though, because chances are, it's going to be a lot of emphasis on that. So Alright, so he's almost down, so he's have to dodge a lot of those... Ah, dang it, I wasn't paying attention to that specific star projectile, but... Even then, I think this particular attack is also kind of tricky to avoid, just because, well, I wasn't really accurate or faster enough so that I could able to avoid that particular, you know, the wings burrowing attack. And, oh man, I was so close to able to finish him off. Hopefully we were able to finish this guy down until whenever he starts to able to go to the other side, such as... Well, of course, for the sake of this point here, and boom, there we go. Whew. Right, that's that done. And, I suppose we're now moving on to the 2 other boss fights that we have not seen yet, which is, well, one example is this boss fight right here. And this boss fight is only exclusive to the extra mode, because if you somehow, after we do it with Metal General, EX, that if you think this guy was down, turns out he wasn't, because as you can see, we are now fighting against with HRD3. So this meaning about the fact there's more likely a gigantic robot or something. Even then, though, kind of think about it though, is the fact that this boss kind of reminds me of the exact same boss fight as in Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards, that you know you're able to do with the forms of I don't know what the actual, the boss itself is called, by the way, but I'm also able to actually just double check it while I just keep on shaking the Wii remote, and I do apologize, I almost accidentally hit the microphone, but either way, though, still works, even to this day. So, anyway, so yeah, oh, wait, he's not over yet, so... Oh well, I guess we'll just have to take him down then for the second time. Yeah, this is the only fight that has like 2 phases, like all in one fight. So yeah, it's definitely worth noting things out. So yeah, you get the idea for that little solution for that point. So, but anywho though, yeah, this boss fight kind of feels like similar to I would say in Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards almost, with you know, with that robot fight in Kirby 64, except the noticeable difference being is the fact that, well, it's basically based off from a different robot, rather than just the exact same one or something. Even though, I might be wrong, although kind of thinking about it though, that design right there is almost inspired by the unused, cancelled thing in Journey forms of Kirby GameCube cancelled game, which, that was when King Dedede managed to use that, unlike the final release, which is of course Kirby's Return to Dreamland, that basically it just goes replaced by, you know, Metal General, because, you know, King Dedede was actually a playable character in this game. And also, as you can see on screen, we got ourselves a pretty devastating look on specifically the next screenshot. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you guys ever played Kirby Superstar Ultra before, you know exactly what the fight we're about to be fighting against. And this might be new for you, for those who've not seen any of our Kirby Let's Plays for the time. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll present to you Galacta Knight. It's basically more likely a powerful version of Meta Knight, but even then though, it almost kind of reminds me of some sort of like a Sephiroth kind of fights in Kingdom Hearts series or something like that. I have no idea why I decided to compare that. But this guy is actually really tough if you manage to do not know what you're doing. And luckily for me, I did manage to pick up more of those maximum tomatoes, as you can tell. Just because this fight will able to take you a lot of tries if you're not paying attention. So, either way though, that's what I'm able to classify that. But, either way, this boss fight is seriously awesome. It's the fact that, well, as long as you were able to actually take him down super easily with the tornado, then you should able to actually defend yourself just fine, and especially noticeable, you can able to wreck his health down very fast. So, yeah, it's very, it's pretty cool actually to see him in action. So even then though, yeah, you'll be pretty fine once you're able to utilize that. So there goes Galacta Knight, and soon enough he'll go away, and yeah, that's all I can really say about it. But as for round 14 and the final round, which is 15, obviously everything else is pretty much unchanged compared to the original arena, except obviously with a different color scheme. And also, as you can see, that his crown design, well, it might look incredibly different, but it wasn't until whenever we get onto the true final boss that we are able to come across into something completely different. But either way, we'll just take his health down very quickly with Megalore EX and stuff, even though this fight is pretty much unchanged than before, except obviously with a different color scheme and stuff. And also that the amount of attacks is completely different, all things considering. So it might be actually considered to be one of the harder ones out of the bunch. And I think, whenever I manage to play this on extra mode on my own time, while just do this off screen, I seriously got a lot of deaths on this fight. Probably because this annoying attack right there, which is of course the Kamehameha wave or something like that. I have no idea why I'm just referencing that from the Dragon Ball Z series. Because basically that it's incredibly unavoidable most of the time. But when you're trying to stand it far away to the side of him, then you will be okay. But it's just the fact that I wasn't paying attention. But since we did manage to take on new forms of Megalore EX just fine, well, despite the fact that I keep on getting wrecked, and here's the last boss in the True Arena. And it's a good thing too, we can now able to utilize the final maximum tomato thanks to this little crate. And I think we'll go for Tornado for the true final fight. So let's see what we got this time. Oh boy, his crown looks a lot different than last time. And as it turns out, oh, he's actually a lot more devastating than before. And now he got himself the eyeball in his mouth. That's actually kind of creepy. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the another incarnation of, I would say the another exclusive to extra mode, which appears to be Megalore Soul. Which is basically, it's like the same thing as the Megalore final boss, except obviously his attacks are a lot more different, and especially noticeable that you remember new forms of the normal run, in terms of the forms of the Megalore final boss, that basically he only just does, you know, with the forms of the super power-ups and draining forms within the halfway point of this entire fight, that normally he just only utilized Flame Monster, and especially noticeable with, I would say, Ultra Sword, but now he uses everything. Like, it starts off with, you know, just the Grand Hammer, and then after that it was obviously the Ultra Swords basically. But then again, if you utilize the Tornado ability, then you should able to defend yourself just fine as long as you're able to use the proper attack like that. So yeah, it has a lot more attacks on its disposal this time as opposed to normally. So yeah, it is definitely a little bit tougher. But luckily though, again, if you utilize the Tornado properly, then you should able to actually kick his butt in no time. So yeah, that's as far as I was able to expect. So yeah, and oh god, here comes the most deadliest segment of them all though. It was actually the I would say the Hyper Beam, or just, you know, beam in general, or Flare Beam. Yeah, Flare Beam was his name. So yeah, you get the idea for that. But then again, Tornado will help you out defend yourself, and bye-bye, Megalore Soul. And, well, that pretty much takes care of the True Arena. So, yeah, I was expecting that, because this actually took me about one attempt, which is kind of surprising, because I know most people seem to want to go for the challenge by simply going for no copy abilities run. I really possibly can't do that, just because it will be really tough. And this took me about 17 minutes and 28 seconds and 11 milliseconds, so not too long though, especially noticeable with, again, the Tornado ability, as you can probably guess for this point. When you completed everything, you get yourselves this reward. As you can see, most of the Kirby characters is now gathered up. Congratulations! Yes, I've now finally managed to accomplish everything in terms of this game. So you can see King Dedede, Meta Knight, Bandetta D, Yellow Kirby, and of course Kirby himself managed to celebrate the victorious moment. You are true Kirby Master. A special movie is now available in the theater mode. And yeah, that's pretty cool, and you can see that Kirby's now got himself his crown, meaning about the fact that you've actually fully completed everything. And to top it all off, as you can see on between these two sides of the screen, as you can see those little ribbons on the side there too, which is pretty cool though. And also, if you're probably wondering that how come the theater mode and the sound test mode was actually in golden, by the way, I'll explain more on that later. But yes, much like the arena, once you've completed the actual true arena just once again it allows you to able to switch between either King DDD, Meta Knight, or Bandetta D, whatever your choice. So yeah, it's like the same thing as in the arena. So now with that out of the way, and let's be focusing on the final two things before this Let's Play will be finished. And just like in the forms of the previous Kirby games, much like last time, you can able to once again listen to your favorite music in the game, and well, there's quite a lot of music selection, like there are about 115 in total, which is kind of a lot. You know, if you're probably wondering why they're golden as opposed to normal pink, I think it's pretty obvious because in order to be able to get the rest of the music, you have to complete not only the normal main mode, but also the extra mode as well. So I just want to point that out. And man, there are about 1,427 sound effects in this game. I have no idea why they got so many sound effects in this game. So anyways, let's move on to the final thing we can show off in terms of the forms of trying to complete everything in terms of this game in general. And there's a delete file, so stay away from that option. So let's go and hit on to theater mode. That, if you ever notice something, is the fact that the theater mode, you can basically just rewatch the exact same cutscenes as before. Now, if you guys are probably thinking that yes, there's also the EX version of that, specifically the final battle cutscene, as well as the special staff credits. The only difference is between the normal final battle cutscene compared to the EX version is the fact that the Megalore EX is managed to show up. And I'm not exactly sure about the Megalore Souls, so even that I just want to point it out. And the special staff credits plays out exactly the same as staff credits, except it actually has some cool touches to it. So anyway, enough about that, and I think, simply to say, since we have pretty much 100% through everything, I suppose we should probably just end this Let's Play off by showing you guys the special staff credit sequence. So now you guys are probably thinking about the fact that aren't you going to be tackling through Kirby's Dream Collection during the forms within the new challenge stages? I would love to, but the only problem with that is the fact that, well, first of all, it is actually really hard to get, especially because since I still got myself my American Wii and stuff. Plus, also, it seems redundant that I've already got every single Kirby games on this entire collection, which obviously contains Kirby's Dream Land 1, Kirby's Adventure, Kirby's Dream Land 2, Kirby Superstar, aka Kirby's Fun Pack, if for those who lived in the UK, Kirby's Dream Land 3, and of course Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards. And also you get yourselves a Kirby's History Brief, and finally, perhaps even most notably, is of course new challenge stages based off from this game. So because of that though, I would love to able to tackle for that, but I still haven't got that yet. And plus, it was super difficult to find right now because I keep double checking on Amazon and stuff, and it does say currently unavailable, which is kind of underwhelming, but at least there's something's worth mentioning. So yeah, let's give my final thoughts of Kirby's Return to Dreamland / Kirby's Adventure Wii. I absolutely adored this game so much. Like, literally, almost every single aspect of this game, I fully enjoyed. Like, for one thing, the gameplay itself is a classic Kirby Return to form that we have not seen since, I would say in Kirby Superstar is the last time we've seen a traditional Kirby style of gameplay, the one we used to, after the release of Kirby's Epic Yarn, that most people seem to find a little bit mixed on. But honestly, I really don't mind Epic Yarn, because Epic Yarn was such a cool game. And yeah, that's as far as I can usually think about it. So yeah, the power-ups or the new Kirby abilities is actually interesting. I actually really enjoy using the Leaf and the Whip, and even the Ultra power-ups as well. Those are really cool additions, by the way. So yeah, the story itself, it's pretty simple as to be expected, but with a nice little plot twist at the end, which turns out Megalore was behind all this, for able to get himself his crown back and turn it into the forms of the Megalore demon himself, which I found is a little bit strange in terms of the forms of that plot twist right there. So either way though, that's something as to be expected. And the gameplay, as I said before, is phenomenal, especially because this is a classic Kirby game's return to form, which I do appreciate it, and it certainly did that a lot during the forms of the future, specifically Triple Deluxe and Planet Robobots, and especially noticeable with Star Allies. Yeah, there was a HAL rooms I'd like to show off, but I don't know if I can able to show you guys about this, just because all it gets is just basically it's like a freebie copy ability room along with some healing items and stuff. And yeah, as far as I can say about it. The controls are superb, especially because this is on the Nintendo Wii. This means you can only play this on the Wii U mode. So yeah, that's a cool thing. You know, just like in the forms of New Super Mario Bros. Wii and stuff. And the graphics look spectacular, especially this is on the Nintendo Wii. Even though this game was almost going to be a decade old until next year. But for the Nintendo Wii game, it looks really amazing. And finally, the soundtrack is just, oh man, it's so bouncy and catchy and everything, and oh, I can tune into that every day. Especially noticeable if I'm getting bored of the actual coronavirus situation, and if I hear the Kirby music, then it certainly managed to make my interest a little bit more intrigued and stuff. So if you really want to get this game every now and then, well, this game is also being re-released on the Nintendo Wii U eShop version of the game, meaning it's like the same thing but in digital form. And the only thing you can get on the physical form every now and then, like, you know, the disc and everything, it might actually be getting super pricey these days, because I have no idea why Kirby games gets a little bit tap pricey in our country, which, not exactly sure why, but that's what I was want to point it out. So yeah, you can definitely recommend this game. You can either get this on the Wii physical or the Wii U eShop downloadable version, as I said before. So yeah, this is me, Tiana, from the likes of the Maxi Toys. And until then, I'll be back for some more of Donkey Kong Jungle Beat until tomorrow. So see you then.